never smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditsies. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to rhyme. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome, guys. Miss Liz is back. That's right. And we were having some fun in the back. That's right. I like to enjoy some fun with my guests. And Debbie's in the back of the studio. And we're going to get her up front in just a few moments. We're going to get that good old disclaimer out there because everybody, Miss Liz, where's your disclaimer? Well, my disclaimer is coming for you guys. If you haven't subscribed to Miss Liz's YouTube channel, run on over and do that. It's Miss Liz's Tea Times. Check out Miss Liz. I'm all over. If you're not looking for Miss Liz, and you obviously can't find me. So today we have an incredible guest in the back, and she's in the studio, and we're going to get real and raw. We're going to have some fun, and we're going to go down a bunch of little rabbit holes and just be real and raw with all of you guys today. So the disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time show. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all the content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good health and faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their good own judgment when considering any actions or decisions that may relate to this discussion. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but are not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotional triggering subjects. Listeners and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, or legal or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer, or the content of this discussion, you are welcome to contact me at aka Miss Liz's directly at bookingmissliz@gmail.com or check me out on Linktree at Miss Liz's Tea Times. By choosing to participate in comments on or views these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntarily. Miss Liz welcomes you to join conversations with an open heart, and at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect those wishes and your decision and welcome you back whenever you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup of tea at a time. And we don't serve a beverage, we serve real life stories here. So now let me give you a little bit on who I have coming in the studio with me today. Well, it is with great respect and admiration that I welcome today's guest to Tea Time with Miss Liz, Debbie Dobbins, an international recognized prosperity consciousness speaker, transformational coach, and the author of Your Inner Billionaire. Debbie's journey is nothing short of extraordinary, from overcoming addiction and surviving a critical cancer diagnosis to rebuilding her life and wealth from the ground up. She has become a global voice for healing, abundance, and personal reinvention. With decades of experience helping conscious entrepreneurs and individuals reshape their relationships with money, power, and purpose, Debbie blends universal principle with practical strategies to support sustainable inner and outer transformation. She is widely known for her dynamic presence, her powerful story of resilience, and her deep commitment to helping others unlock the wealth that already exists within them. Today, she joins us to share her insights on moving from survival to success on every level. Please let me welcome Debbie Dobbins into the studio and let's have some tea and have some fun. Welcome, Debbie.
I love that. While you're doing that intro, the picture is a little bigger so I can actually see the tea, not kettles, but not the tea cups, but the tea server things in the background. They're just beautiful.
Yeah, you're in my actual tea room, half tea room now and half office, because the tea room is going, like I mentioned on Tuesday. Changes are good, right? So, and we're going to talk about that today. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So welcome, Debbie. So tell me a little bit that I haven't mentioned in the intro to the listeners out there, and we're going to start dipping in some rabbit holes and have some fun.
Yeah, I actually think I like to just be spontaneous and spark whatever's coming up for me. And what you said was change is good, because that truly is the essence of everything that I teach. It's about changing who we are being currently. And so this is the key to everything that we say we desire in our lives, because we have what we have right now, because how we have been or being from this moment backwards. And we are creating our future in this very moment, in this very moment. And no matter what we're going through, whether we're on the biggest high, we're going through pain, we're going through upset, we're going through trauma, we're going through, we want to be billionaires or some version of that inside of us. It's about changing who we're being. And that's the biggest challenge for most people, is they want this, which is different than what they've created in their past, because they're not happy with whatever that is. I don't want. And then they don't focus on what they want, what their desires are. And you cannot get something different than what you have now by being the same person. I mean, Einstein said it. You cannot solve a problem from the mind in which it was created. So we're going to have to rewire and then change our feelings, our vibration, our frequency, to allow us to have those things that we say that we would desire. And so this book is about a portal to that very thing, to actually become now, right now, who you say you want to be.
Well, like I said before we went live, Debbie, right? I watched some of the videos last night, and you were talking about the book. That's the one that I was watching, was about the book, about the billionaire word, on how that triggers, right? Because you wanted to trigger people, you know, with that word. A lot of people, they take offense to it, especially if you grow up and you're being told all your life, money is evil, money is no good, money is this, money is that, right? So we have this perception that if we try to change our lives and try to upgrade our lives, that, oh no, don't do that. And I suffer from that. And that's why that episode that you shared last night really hit home for me, because I was just like, ooh, those triggers, right? They refresh.
We all have triggers. This is the interesting thing about this experience on this thing called planet Earth, is that we are emotional creatures, like literally. And I was on a crazy podcast with a bunch of bro guys. I was like, I don't even know how I got on here, because this is not my people.
This is not my pot.
Oh, this is not my podcast. But they were trying to explain to me, this one guy, that men don't have feelings. I said, okay, you do have feelings, because it's the emotions, right, that we're talking about that create the energetic force, the frequency that we operate in. And I said, because he's like, well, I can't talk about trauma or whatever. I said, have you ever been happy? That's an emotion, right? Have you ever been surprised? That's an emotion. We've come to these conclusions that certain things are emotions, and emotability, which is what we do as humans, is that somehow that's bad, and it's been relegated to the female dynamic. That, oh my gosh, if you cry or you have an outburst, it's emotions. And the fact is that we all have emotions. What none of us are really paying attention to is that those emotions have frequencies and signals connected to them, and they download into our bodies. And that's where our body then programs this beautiful thing called our mind, which I say is just it's a superior. It's not the artificial intelligence. It's the intelligence that we use, that it's just a computer and a program. So when I say I trigger people, because the universe decided that was going to be my, my superpower somehow, because I don't even go out looking for it, Miss Liz. It's just like I open my mouth and I'm triggering people. I think, oh, okay, that's great. But
I'm
what
guilty of that too. Everybody's like, Miss Liz, you're triggering me.
yes,
Get
exactly.
uncomfortable, guys. Like,
But you know what? I've reframed that those triggers are literally little bombs that we put inside of us, and I am the bomb squad. And I'm there to either deactivate the trigger, or I'm there to blow the trigger up in a safe environment so that you move through the trigger, because the trigger is such a beautiful signal to us. It's a blessing in disguise, if you will. And when we begin to say, oh my gosh, I mean, now I have people say, I want to hire Debbie because she's a triggerer. Like literally, I'm going to poke the bear because I know that's where the good stuff is. The triggers keep us stuck. And so when we release all of that, and when I talk about in the book, it's our money stories, right? Because it's everybody talks about abundance like it's money. Abundance is wealth and health and all of this good stuff. But when I talk about in the book our money stories, particularly, it's all these triggers that we have around money that then we react and have a relationship with money that's unhealthy. And then we wonder why no more of it comes to us.
Yep.
So if we had relationships, say, for instance, in our life, with a partner or something, and we were that needy person that we're texting them, after one date, you're texting constantly, oh, how are you doing, are we going to see each other again, blah 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 blah, right? That's what we do to money. Like, you're never here, you're never enough, and you're holding on in that needy way. Or you're just like, I don't trust you anymore because you're not, there's not enough of you. And we have all these really weird relationships with money that we believe that's our reality, when the truth is it's just a story that's triggered every time we see an experience, whether it's a late due notice, or it's I don't have enough to pay for the car breaking down, or I've made enough but I'm at a ceiling. Like, there's so many money stories out there. So if we begin to look at get over yourself, is what I say in the very first chapter of the book, because it's all about, somebody said to me in a spiritual environment, they didn't say those words, but that's what I heard, was get over yourself. What she was meaning, and what I now understand, is get over your story, right? Because that is the tough love that we all need to hear, to move ourselves through into this radical responsibility of knowing that we are completely in charge of our experience. And that's the good news and the bad news. Because if I'm completely in charge of my experience, then when things aren't going the way that I say they should, I can't blame other people. It's my reaction that I have to really begin to examine and be aware of what's creating this upset within me, which is a trigger. Whether triggers they're on a spectrum. There's ones that are just like niggling, and then there's the ones that just go, wow, like it'll get you every time. So
well,
I love
it's like I tell everybody, Debbie, do you stay in the pot? Like, when you're making a pot of tea, do you keep that tea bag in there for the rest of your life, or do you take it out? Because if that tea bag sits in there, it's going to get really stale. It's going to be horrible.
Yes.
And that's how we look at our stories, right? Is we stick in our story. Oh, well, this happened, and when it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier.
Exactly. We embellish it. Like, we are the best soap opera script writers ever. Like, literally, I can tell this story when it begins, and by the time it's 20 years later, that story is so well. It's got an arc in it. It's got a villain in it. It's got maybe a hero that's dead now. I mean, it's amazing, because we are good storytellers. And once we recognize that we are writing the stories, we can write a new story. That's what I say in the book, is we got to get your money story, understand it. Where did the money story? Sometimes we can find out where it came from, and that's not relevant, but you understand the story. Until you know what the script is, you can't write a new script, because you're not going to be able to bypass the old one, because it's still running the program. So it's I love the analogy of the tea bag, because we just sit on it, and it's toxic, and it's old, and it's
awful.
It's awful.
Like, who drinks a tea that's been sitting for 25 years, right?
Right.
It's so, it's awful. But you had said something about trust and money.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of got me to thinking how we trust our relationships with everything in life, right?
Right. And so I come at this from a very spiritual, metaphysical, and science, quantum physics science perspective, because they're just two sides of the same coin. So when I used to be mostly just spiritual conversation until quantum physics. I mean, I knew it was scientific, but I used a spiritual reference. Now that quantum physics, because I just love science, has really taken us to this journey of understanding that it's whatever we are, whatever we believe, that's what we're creating. And so when I talk about trust, I say that from the perspective of our consciousness. So for some people, the word consciousness or universe or God or higher power or whatever, I mean, it's all, to me, it's all the same. Like they're just words. We have used a word to define something that is what I just refer to these days as consciousness, because that is the energy that's everywhere in the entire universe. And so we either trust or we don't trust that consciousness. There isn't an in between. This is the thing that most people, well, I can do it a little bit, but I just, when this thing comes up, then it's too scary. I have to take charge. And I think this is so fascinating because it's that trust, it's that surrender, and it's that absolute knowingness that this is me creating that. In the Bible, it says, "You are as you believe." That is such a simple phrase, but it is so powerful, because then if we're not seeing what we want to see outside of us, we have to look inside and say, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? And how am I acting? Those three things are what's creating that experience that we see. And if we decide that we are going to trust this universe, this consciousness, then all these things start to fall into place. That is the biggest juggernaut that people ask me all the time. Well, how do you do that? Well, you do that by practicing it. It isn't as if one day you wake up and go, oh, I'm going to do everything that Debbie Dobbins says, and life is going to be wonderful. Okay, well, let's see. You've got frequency in your body from all your previous feelings and your experiences. You've got the stories running up here, and you have this beautiful thing called your mind that we programmed, that its whole job in life is to run the program the way that we trained it. It's like AI. When you have AI, you have to train the AI. We've trained our AI to absolutely do what we've told it based on our experiences and our feelings around that. And the thing is that we're addicted to the feelings that we have created around all of these experiences. So that frequency is out like a heat-seeking missile, looking for experiences to prove that that is true.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we have to do is start seeing more of what we want with our version of ourselves, with expecting that good. And that's where the difficulty is for a lot of people, because they still want to fall back into, well, my reality is that I'm broke, or I don't have any money in the bank account, or I'm losing my job. And I'm like, okay, this is the most important relationship that we will ever have, is with money. And I say that from the perspective that money is just energy. We have a little thing called a symbol that represents the energy, but it is a direct reflection of how we feel about ourselves. It is the most important relationship because it affects every area of our life. And I've had people try to argue with me about that, and every single time I can take them to the place where it's like, oh yeah, money literally affects every area of our life. And yet, because it's the most important relationship, we treat it as if it is a second-class citizen. And I don't mean the money itself. I mean the energy that comes from the value that we own inside of us. If we have 100% trust in ourselves and our universe, right? Our consciousness, our God, our higher power, whatever it is, then it just makes it so simple. And then we don't have to worry, because I call it micromanaging the universe. When I say, okay, look, I'm going to let go of this much and be trusting and have faith, the mustard seed and all of that. But the fact is that when this stuff over here happens, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to take the wheel. Like,
well,
okay.
and you said it, Debbie. Money is energy,
Yep.
Well, so many people focus on currency.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
The symbol. They focus on the symbol.
On the symbol,
Yep.
Instead of the energy that it comes
right
and brings into our lives, right?
Right. And it's us that's creating the energy, though. And the problem is that most people don't understand that the energy that we're talking about is circulation. So it's circulation when it comes to money or wealth. It's circulation when it comes to relationships. It's circulation when it comes to feelings, even. If we're not processing everything in a circulatory pattern, then we stagnate it. It's very much like the tea analogy,
Right?
right?
We go back into those boxes. It's back to the box.
Right, right. And then most people have a receiving problem. They don't say that, they don't understand that, but everything that they do pushes away all of that energy for good. So, for instance, something as simple as languaging, like, I don't have enough. When you say that, that simple statement says, it's a signal, because we are just an antenna. We are a little antenna. The frequency comes out, and the frequency comes out in language and feelings and actions. So when I say I don't have enough, I am claiming that that is a literal prayer. It says I don't have enough. And the universe goes, oh, she's blocking it again. Shut the valve down. You're right. Instead of saying, I am so abundant, because I look in the universe and I look at everywhere in nature and I see abundance everywhere. And so I know that I am one with all of that. I am one with nature. So therefore, I must be abundant as well. Right. So it's a really different dynamic if we begin to pay attention to the things that we say, the things that we feel, and the things that we do.
Exactly, right? And that's how we manifest a better life for ourselves.
Yeah.
Is by first believing in ourselves, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come from the neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't come from the spouse, it doesn't come from the child. It comes from within ourselves. And that was one thing that I got last night as well from listening, is the inner journey. We're not celebrating our inner journeys of how far we come in life, you know?
Exactly. There's a great book called The Gap in the Gain. And I think I only read probably the first 2 chapters. I do that with books, except for my own. I love my own so much.
I read the
But
front, the middle, and the back, and then if I
yeah,
like it, then I
exactly.
read the whole book.
But it's so true about the gap in the gain, because when we are in the gap is, here I am and I have a goal. Let's say I don't use goals, I use intentions, but it's over here, it's out there. And so as long as we're focusing on our gap, where we believe that we don't have what it is that we say we want, we don't pay attention to our gains, which is everything before us. So we honestly, none of us got anywhere where we are today in this moment without having gains. Otherwise, we'd still be sitting, in a crib, not being able to walk, not being able to ride a bike, not having a job. So we don't pay attention to our gains. And if that's what we begin to focus on, and it's not about comparing ourselves to everybody else, which I believe that social media has really ruined a lot of us for purposes of comparing. But when we begin to look at our gains, then we can up level our game by being so grateful for where we are, and know that our history is the precedence, the only precedence. We can't look at history as precedence of where our future is. Our history is our precedence for amazingness, where we have come in however long we've been on the planet. After 70 years, I've been through some stuff, and I have to constantly look at the gains, because some days I'm not perfect. I have a down day. I have a depressed day. I have a day where shit hits the fan and you just go, okay.
See, and this is why Debbie tea time, because this is what I tell everybody. It's a roller coaster. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be a smooth sail across the water. We
Right.
have shit days.
We do, but they are still in our favor. So I created a little meditation that I listen to myself. It's like 5 minutes in the morning, and it's entitled Everything is Working in My Favor. Because we don't believe that. We are expecting the other shoe to drop. We are expecting crap. We are expecting another day that we had yesterday that just set us off with 15 triggers. And so now, if we start our day off and say, everything is working in my favor, because literally, if we go back in our history, we got to where we are because of the things that happened to us in our life. This is what's the beautiful part about life. And it doesn't matter how much trauma that any of us have been through, we're still here breathing and standing. So until we're not breathing and standing anymore, every moment that came before the moment, the present moment, has created where we are now. And every moment from here until whenever we stop standing and breathing, we'll create those moments. So everything is working in our favor. And just because we don't have the perspective of looking backwards, we do have the history of seeing our backwards and say, look at all those things brought me here. So I know as sure as I'm standing here that everything is working in my favor. My favorite Bible verse since I was a little kid, and I still to this day will not let that go. And that's why I created that MP3. But it says, all things work together for good for those who love God. Well, for those who actually are living in this universe. But it is so important to realize everything is working for good. I don't care. And then people say, well, there's wars and there's people doing this and there's bad things that are happening. I know that. We live in a duality universe. Otherwise, it would just be the Garden of Eden before they ate the fruit from the tree of good and evil or knowledge, whichever one it was. But the fact is that there is nothing that isn't here for us to serve us in some way, fashion, or form. And so it's incumbent upon us to just move through it. It may be, listen, there are painful. I went through cancer treatment for a whole year. That was not fun. Like literally, it wasn't fun. But at the same time, I knew that this was serving a bigger, higher purpose in the overall scheme of things, which it has. And I am so blessed for all of the horrible traumatic experience or perceived traumatic experiences in my life, because they make me who I am. And to me, that is the most brilliant thing, because each and every one of us is an individualized, unique expression of the one. And if we begin to see that with everybody, when we look into their eyes, my favorite word is namaste. The God in me sees the God in you. And that way we can begin to love each other in a different way, instead of saying you're different than me, so somehow or another we have to be separate. Because the real truth is we're all connected. And that is the absolute truth of everything.
So Debbie, how did you get from rock bottom to where you are today?
Well, I was laying in bed and I didn't have anything to do, and I was broken on food stamps. And, I was used to having millions and making tons of money doing things like real estate and investments, and I couldn't do anything. So I decided that I don't know, I got a download. I'm very much into intuition. I started doing surveys online that paid me $1 sometimes, and $3 and $5. Literally, I couldn't do anything really except for be on the computer for short periods of time. But what I know is that also, I just finished my next book on investing called Rooted in Wealth. And the fact is that we have to begin to invest in ourselves. So I was investing in me, doing those little surveys for 20 minutes. I get $1 and then I get $5. And I was just counting every bit of it, being so grateful for every moment that I was able to do that, for every dollar that came in. It led to secret shoppers, which were $20. I mean, this is a person that made thousands of dollars per transactions, that I'm doing these surveys for $1 and $5 and $20 to go to secret shopper. And then, but see, what happens is I began to get better. I knew that I was healing myself. I knew that life was supporting me, that everything was in my favor. And then that turned into me taking online courses to become a real estate agent in Texas, because my life, I knew I was going to move to Texas. I mean, I just started visioning where I was going to go and what it was going to be like. And all of the things that I talk about in the book is you have to begin to feel what that feels like. And so it just, one thing led to another, but it started out with literally doing something that you can do wherever you are. I was being a little funny with you earlier on the before the show, that I have people all the time say to me, oh, I'm so broke, I don't have any money, and this is hard. And I'm like, okay, but what are you looking at your life? Are you appreciating what you do have? And how are you using your time? Are you doom scrolling on Etsy? Are you, spending time, you're using all of your money for Starbucks coffees? I can't believe how much people spend on Starbucks, to be honest with you.
Right.
The fact of the matter is that we are not, since it's all energy, what is the energy that we are putting out into the universe to get back the equivalency, right? It's reciprocal. And the thing that has been really interesting to me over time, because I'm a recovering workaholic, is that working hard is not the key to success.
Right.
Spending energy efficiently is the key to success. So what does that mean? So there is energy output of your physical body. Like I go to the gym and I work out. That's a physical energy. I could dig a ditch. That's physical energy. But I'm also creative. Like I could be, I'm not an artist. I could play a guitar or a piano, or I can sit around. I could meditate for an hour. And the energy that I output as a result of that impacts the planet literally in a way that is beyond measurability. So when I talk about energy, there's lots of different ways that energy shows up in our lives. Being grateful is a different type of energy. It's a high vibrational energy, as opposed to pour me another drink. That is a low vibration energy. So what is the energy that we're putting out that will reciprocally come back to us in form? That is the beauty of knowing that we have the power inside of us to create whatever it is that we desire.
Well, when we're doing that pour me, we're wasting energy. We're wasting time where we could take 2 minutes and say, you know what? It is what it is.
Yep.
Let's figure this out. Yep. Okay, we're going down this rabbit hole, or we're going down that rabbit hole, but we're going down one of these rabbit holes. But you have a choice, right? It's a choice.
Yeah.
Do you play the victim, or do you play purpose? You know?
Yeah. And you're always in one or the other. You're in victim. I also call it poverty mindset, right? You're in victim mode, or you're in empowerment mode. There's only two modes. There isn't like this gray area, because if you really start to pay attention to your language, especially, there's a chapter in the book on languaging that because we're so unconscious. And the very first thing that I share with all of my clients is you have to begin with awareness, because awareness will begin to show you exactly how you are, because we're so unconscious. We have this AI up here that's running the program, and we go unconscious, this autopilot, so often in our day that we don't remember to be grateful. We don't remember to pay attention to our language. We don't remember that something's triggering us and we walk straight into that situation, and then we're triggered, and then we say, oh my God, I did that again. Instead of being aware that these are the things that I'm doing to set up the life that I've created. And if I want it to change, then these are the things that I'm going to do differently. And awareness, it's like being an observer of you. This is what's so beautiful. And our minds, oh my gosh, my mind is so busy. I have the monkey mind of the planet.
Right.
Literally.
I don't want anybody in there because it's too busy.
It's too busy.
There's like a zoo in there, guys. I don't want anybody in there. Like, nobody's in cages in there.
Right. They call it monkey mind in the Eastern traditions, but I'm telling you, there's a whole forest up there. The monkeys are flipping, and the rhinoceros is a rah, rah. This is crazy. But the fact is that if we really begin to notice and be the observer of our thoughts, because the thoughts are what are propelling us forward, we will begin to notice. And the really great meditation, anybody can do this, because most people don't want to meditate because they say their mind's too busy and they can't turn them off. Start to watch the thoughts and then ask yourself, who gave me that thought? Because all of our thoughts, or at least 90% of them, some people have a 10% gap. That's if they've trained themselves. But most people's thoughts are not their own. Someone has given them those thoughts very early in their life, and then they just keep perpetuating them. And so, I mean, people have said this on situation copies and stuff, saying, I'm my parents, right? I'm my mom, or I'm my dad. Well, but that's really, truly, that's true about so much of our life, is that we are the end result of someone else's thoughts that they have given to us, and we have freely accepted them, and now they're living rent-free in our heads. So we can really become aware and say, that thought, because that goes along with our money stories, that thought came as a result of my upbringing with my parents who never had enough money. And every month the electric guy came and there was this big drama as he turned off the electricity, and my parents were fighting and my brothers and sisters were crying. I mean, those are traumatic experiences. And yet, once you identify that story, then you can say that's not the truth of who I am. It's just a story. The actual experience was I was a kid. The electric man came and turned off the gas. Yes, people were arguing in my family, but that story that we layered on top of it is just the story. We interpreted it and created something that isn't true. It served us because it protected us, but now we can write a different story. And
Well,
that's what the beauty is.
it's the rewiring, right?
Yeah. The creating those, the neuroelasticity and those neural pathways. I used to say years and years and years ago when I was teaching that we had grooves in our brain. I didn't know what I was saying, but now I know they're called neural pathways, and they literally are they're all fired together. Like if you could see your mind, it's just, it's electric. And that's what's so powerful is that we are these electromagnetic beings. And that frequency is from what we are being and who we are being, not what we are thinking. The thinking comes from the being part. And once we understand that, it's so much easier to rewire the neural pathways because we've downloaded into our physical body. I always say that women are from the neck down. That's where the emotional or feminine energy is. And from the neck up, it's masculine energy, which there's both of them are beautiful and they need to be balanced. And yet with your mind, the masculine energy is analytical. We got to figure it out. It's drive, it's push, it's struggle. We all need that in certain circumstances. I often say what I do is I get up in the morning and I connect with my intuition, which is my feminine energy. I decide how I want to feel that day. I put that feeling into my body because anybody can create a feeling in your body. Anybody, just sitting in a chair, you can do that. I've proven it over and over and over by doing it at seminars where I say, okay, here's an example of when you find your husband in bed with another woman. What does that feel like in your body? And what does it feel like if you just won the lottery? I mean, you can imagine those things. So I say, how do I want to feel in the morning? I get up. Well, before that, then I ask my intuition, what sacred action do I want to take? Because what most of us do is we get up, we get on the phone first thing before you can get out of bed. We're on the phone, we're checking email, we're checking text, we're seeing how the world is blowing up and having a version of that. And then we launch into life without any knowingness of what our intuition is calling us to do and the sacred action that we want to take next. And I'm telling you, living in that mystery and knowing from my intuition what action to take, it takes so much pressure off. It's beautiful.
Well, and like you said, Debbie, like we wake up, the first thing we do is the phone, right?
Yeah.
Check the emails, check this. 20 years ago, we weren't doing that. We weren't checking the phone. We were getting up, having breakfast, having that conversation with our spouse or our children, or turning the TV on for the latest commercials or the news or whatever. Like it was turning the TV on, right? But I mean, we've gotten to a point where we're just robotic. We're just go, 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 go. And then when we say, whoa, we need a break, people are like, oh, well, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Yeah.
It's called being human. Like, slow down. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. And unfortunately, because of all of that, there's always been stress no matter what. I mean, as humans, even the cave people, right? The stress response is part of our animalistic nature, and it's there and it's designed to warn you that the lion, tiger, or the bear is coming after you. And so it's supposed to be quick stress, run away or fight, and then it relieves itself and you usually run away. So it's wearing the stress off. What we have come to, especially in today's society, is perpetual stress. So we're in a constant state of stress. That whole cortisol conversation, the belly fat, the overeating, all of these things are as a result of stress. And so it's really challenging for us to get out of our stress mode long enough to even pick up a beautiful book that says you can have it all, right? Because you're so busy saying, I don't believe it. So sometimes it's just a matter of you have to get a new believer to say, I can create this experience And yes, we have to have those moments of rest, of relaxation, of recharging. And when we don't, we are running on empty, and we aren't doing anybody a favor by doing that.
Absolutely. Well, Debbie, I want to get into the book because some of the viewers want to know a little bit about the book, how you got the name, and how long did it take to write, all of that good stuff in there, and what can they find in this book?
So I wrote the book when I was living in Mexico last year, in Playa del Carmen, and I always wanted to have a book just sort of flow out of me, which it did. And I've been teaching abundance for probably about 30 years, and I used to teach from the mindset. And after I had cancer, I knew that it was located in the body. And so it just is a different modality to begin to experience being wealthy and abundant. And my first title for the book was Your Inner Millionaire. And then I got an intuitive download that said anybody can be a millionaire. And that's really not that impressive of a title, and nobody's really going to care. And of course, I got the word billionaire, and we go back to the whole conversation about triggers. There's been many, many people say to me, I don't like the title of your book, because billionaire. And how did I know January 1st of this year that billionaire word was going to be a trigger for a lot of people in the country? I had no idea. So I think it's, once again, the universe just leads me on a path, and I go, okay, that's interesting. So that was primarily the focus, was that I didn't realize that it was a trigger word until after it was published. And I thought, well, that was meant to be. So I'm really excited about that, because it also allows you to stretch, because our mind, it is so limited. It's such a finite experience that it doesn't allow you to stretch. It says, I need to figure out how. And being a billionaire, there's only 700 plus of them in the country. It's a place that most people can't even imagine. But if you can say, I'm going to start on the path, your mind doesn't have an ability to say no, because it says, I don't know how. So that's the title. There's great chapters in there. First one is uncovering your money story. The book is a portal. So the cover it looks like a little
I love the cover.
It's
like a time travel, right? And that's what I say about tea time. It's the past, the present, and the future. We all time travel. We're all time travelers, right? So when I seen the cover, when Kim sent it to me, I was like, "Ooh, I like that."
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's if I have one desire, if you will, one vision for the book, is that people will read it once a year, like they have read the Think and Grow Rich book, because by Napoleon Hill, because it's just one of those books that just keeps reminding you that you can be. And there's so many processes in the book that even if you did them all the first time reading it, which most people will read it and then they'll go back and do the processes, that you will absolutely find something new about yourself as you do each one of those processes. That's why I call it a portal, because it just completely reminds you to unfold and to dive deeper into who you are. And so I have 2 chapters on gratitude in there, because that's how important that is. I often say these days that it's practicing gratitude on the go, because if we begin to understand that gratitude is literally the gateway to achieving and being whoever we say we want to be, just bloom where you're planted, life will become magical. And then the chapter on language really dives into some of the things we've touched on today. There's a great chapter on the money date. I was like, what am I calling it? The money date. I really love the idea of a
rabbit
money
in there.
Yeah, it was like one of those monkeys decided to pull a string or something. The money date, I've been practicing a money date for a really long time. And there's 4 money types that I'm not going to go into on this, because it's not in the book, but I talk about it in my courses. That one of them is an avoider, and I've been an avoider. That's my money type. And so there would be a time where I wouldn't look at bills and I wouldn't look at bank statements, because an avoider doesn't want to look at their money stories or their money anything, because if I don't look at it, then it's not there. And a money date, whether you're a saver, you're an avoider, you're a hoarder, any of these money types, it's always a great opportunity to have that relationship with your money. And I find it so fun that some people, when they first start their money dates, it feels awkward. It's like going on a first date. Literally, you're having a relationship with money. So I love a money date. And as I said, there's so many great processes in this book that will just take you so deep to recognize that all of the things that have brought us to where we are, every story that we've ever told ourselves about money is something that's just a story, and we can rewrite that script. And then I've had, literally, I have clients that just take that book, they start doing the practices, and they, double their income in 90 days. They've had people give them houses. They've had people give them cars. It's just remarkable, because when we start expecting unexpected good, that's what shows up instead of expecting the other shoe to drop.
Yeah. Well, Debbie, I want to take you down a rabbit hole since we talked about monkeys. Well, maybe we'll go down the monkey hole today. Yeah. I want to talk to you because for me, I'm also like that with the spiritual world, right? With the universe, mm-hmm. and the universe will open a door, and I'll be like, "Why are you taking me here? What are we gonna do now?" Well, the universe talks to me in colors. And that's why I asked what your favorite color was. And your favorite color was light pink and robin blue. And as you can see, I got pink and blue on today for you. Yes, so I want to know why those colors are your favorite.
I actually have just gone through a branding process for my brand. And pink is really an interesting color because it kind of reminds me of Barbie a little bit, but the fact is, and I thought I'm not like Barbie, but then I guess I probably am because I've had multiple occupations, but I think it really goes back to that. I love those soft pinks, those soft blues, and also like yellows and oranges, because I love a sunrise and a sunset. I think that is the beautiful thing about this planet that we live on, is no matter where I am, I can be I love to go to Playa and be on the beach at sunrise, because there's always tourists out there taking pictures. I've taken so many myself. And I think, isn't that interesting though? Because I can be in North Texas, the flattest place on the planet, no water in sight anywhere probably. And yet there is a beautiful sunrise and a sunset every single day. And I just love to be reminded of the beauty and the grandeur and the gratitude that I have for every moment that we're here on this planet. And believe me, I'm not always doing that when I'm in one of those icky moments, but it is the place that I want to always go back to and remember that that's the truth of my existence, because it truly is. And so I think that more than anything, it's just to remind me of the beauty that we have in the beginning and the end of every day.
Well, and I think we need those icky moments in life, right? Because when we don't have them, what do we look forward to? If everything is all wine and roses, then where do we grow? Where do new challenges come in? New resolutions come in. If we're always on that same wave, we're not doing anything in life, right? So we need that roller coaster. We need to go up. We need to go down. We need to go in, out, the tea that you gave me was tough, enduring, and enchanting for your teas. Do you want to tell me why you gave me those words?
Well, anybody that knows me would say tough. I mean, I have the armor. I got the masculine playbook, and I used to say I was the best man for the job. So like literally, I couldn't arm wrestle or outrun any of them, but I can outwork them and I can outthink them probably. But so I'm tough. And part of that is just, growing up the oldest of 4 children, you just get tough. And that's the armor, but it's the little marshmallow inside. Enduring, I have just been through literally, I mean, if you read the book, you'll see that I've been through the craziest places and done the craziest things and had what somebody could label as trauma. And the fact of the matter is I don't like labels, because then sometimes we stay stuck in the label, but I can endure anything, literally. And I've proven it over and over and over. And it's not something that I wear with a badge of honor. It's just a reminder to me that this too shall pass. And what was the other word? Enduring and what?
Enchanting.
Oh, enchanting. Well, that's because I'm magical.
That's where I want. That's why I went to the tea. You see, there's always a nice flow in tea time, because I always come right back to the magic, because there is a lot of magic if you check out the website.
Yes, I am. I gave myself, coronated myself with the title of the Queen of Magic a couple of years ago, because I would always say to my clients, I feel like I'm under a magical cloud. And if you come and spend time with me, you're going to be under that magical cloud as well. And it isn't about that I have the special magic. everyone has the same magic. I just declare it because literally life is magical because we believe in magic. I mean, once I started claiming myself as the queen of magic, I see magic, the word magic, people say magic. We use the word magic so freely to describe things that are just juicy and delicious and oh my gosh, they're so out of the ordinary. And that's what life is. I wake up every day and say, okay, universe, God, surprise me. What's the surprise for today? And if I go out looking for surprises, then I see only surprises. If I go looking for then I see that too. So I love being magical.
I love it. When I checked out your website, I was like, oh, we got to get into the magic. And that's where the enchanting came in. I really liked it. So can you share a little bit about what they can find on your website? You have some courses, some workshops, some stuff like that as well. Do you want to share that as well, Debbie?
Yeah, so they can go on the website and get the book for free, pay for shipping. And there's a couple of fun things on there with the book. So it'll get you on the path. I also have what's called the Inner Billionaire Circle. So it's a mastermind in effect of a group where you can participate. I do VIP coaching. So once again, I always preface it by saying that I am the trigger. So don't expect the coach is like, well, how did that make you feel?
I want to know that trigger.
Right. Because literally it's just, I guess I just was raised on tough love anyways. So it's about really just acknowledging, get over your story and let's move through it. Because I like to be I am the soft person a lot of the times, but at the same time, I am going to trigger people. And the fact is that is where that's where the good stuff is in the triggers. So moving through those sometimes is not the most enjoyable part of what I do. For other people, for me, I'm like, yeah, we're hitting pay dirt now. It's like
bombs are going off left, right, and center. There's nice fireworks going off and on.
Yeah. So they can check out the website, and there's lots of freebies on there. So lots of meditations and things that they can download. It's called thedebbiedobbins.com because I am the Debbie Dobbins. And so that's pretty much what's going on for now.
And some of your merchandise is called Own Your Magic, Make Magic Happen, and Magic Maker. Yes.
I just love, honest to goodness, this world that we live in is truly magical. And I often say, so I love The Wizard of Oz, primarily because of the premise that Dorothy had the ability the whole time. I mean, it's so metaphysical, it truly is. But you look at any of these other stories about magic, Harry Potter, which I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but I know that the essence of the story is that Harry's magic is inside of him. He has to activate what's already there. Merlin the magician, all of these people and all of these stories and the hero's journey, all of those things are always bringing us to that knowingness that everything is already here. Everything that we need is already inside of us. And we are the magic. We are creating the magic of our lives. And so just the idea of magic, I love the word because I also love watching magic. Oh my gosh. I'm thinking if I had another lifetime to live, I would be a magician because I just think that's so fun to watch the sleight of hand. That's what it is. But also the way they, what do they call it? Mentalists that can say that. I mean, to me, we love that surprise. We love as humans, we love that surprise that we call magic, but that is our life. If we really begin to recognize we are magic, we are watching a life unfold with our input and we are co-creating. It's incredible. I mean, it really is just incredible.
And that's what I tell everybody, right? Is the magic is within us. Mm-hmm. It's not within the outside world. And we look so much on the outside that we forget about what's inside and forget the magic, right? We're losing the magic within ourselves. So, I really encourage everybody just to look within themselves and check that magic out. I want to take you down one rabbit hole. I found, as I was listening to you, Debbie, you mentioned country music. So country music, is it the classic country? Is it the new country? What kind of country girl are you?
I was country before country was cool. Like
Oh my
literally.
goodness, my kind of girl.
Oh my goodness. I'm born and raised Southern California girl, right? And I was dating, this is back in the early 80s. He was an attorney and a bloodstock agent, which just meant he bought and sold racehorses. And I remember driving in this big old, some kind of weird car, and he had AM radio. That's how much I date myself. AM radio country. Because wasn't even country wasn't cool back then. It was Hank Williams and Loretta Lynn and all of that. And I was thinking, I think I kind of like this music, right? And then I've just been with country music ever since then. And I mean, and so I love modern country to the point where it was probably a couple of years ago. I was with my niece in California. She was in her 20s at the time. And she said she was going to some concert for some country western singer that I didn't recognize. And I said, "Oh, isn't that going to be, fun?" And blah, blah, blah. I said, "But I don't think I've ever heard of them." She goes, "Aunt Debbie, that's new country." I'm like, "Okay, let me tell you, sister, country is country."
Right?
So I love good country western music. And you know what I do with country western music? Because it's like poetry. Is that a lot of the songs that are love songs in country western music, I just flip them that I love myself, because I recently went to Playa del Carmen for my birthday and married myself. That I love singing the lyrics, but hearing myself say I'm in love with me, or that God's in love with me instead of, a partner, because we don't love ourselves enough. That's one of our biggest problems as a human species, is we don't have enough self-love for ourselves. So I love country western. I mean, I love all kinds of music, but country western will get me every single time. Thanks for asking.
Well, as soon as you said that, I was like, that's Barbara Mandrell.
Exactly.
That just kind of gives our ages away, right? But
oh my God, yeah.
You know what? That kind of tells everybody, that even back then in the country music, the women did not believe in themselves because of the songs they were writing.
Absolutely.
Right?
My man, and I got to stand by my man.
And we're like, we were cool. Like, come on.
Well, who was it? Luke Combs, because I got Luke Bryant and Luke Combs mixed up. But he's this guy, he's just a normal guy, a little on the pudgy side or whatever, but he's like in every person man. But he says, what is his song? He says, "What would I be doing if I wasn't doing this?" And he did, I think it was Luke, whatever, did a documentary or a little thing on him. And he was asking him, this is what I recommend that everybody really begin to pay attention to, is if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? And if you're doing what you love, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like, I want to be an actress and I'm, working in a factory. It's about, if you bring whatever you is, bring your authentic you to whatever you're doing, so that you feel happy every minute that you're doing whatever it is until you get to the next place. Because, he said he would play a honky tonk and he plays huge stadiums now, but he's doing what he loves. So how do we show up in the world, and how do we be this authentic self that we know inside of us who that is? We've covered it up with so much people pleasing, but I really truly love that one country western song, because if I wasn't doing this, I would be doing this, because that's really the essence of being happy.
So Debbie, what final message do you have for all the viewers out there, and how can they reach you?
You just go to the website, thedebbiedobbins.com. There's all kinds of ways to connect with me there. And I have social media, which you can, once you go to the website, the links for the social media. So I've got YouTube, I've got my own podcast, I've got Instagram, TikTok, whichever one of those flavors. I'm working on a Substack account. So, but what I want to share with everybody is that you truly are, as I've already said, you're the magic. You're the magic. And so until you get that belief system implanted in you, and you believe that somebody else is doing it to you, nothing is happening to us. Everything is happening through us. So once we begin to get that recognition, then life begins to make more sense, because then it isn't about randomness. It's about co-creating. And so that's the biggest message that I can give. be.
Well, thank you so much. And it was an honor having you here, Debbie, and getting down those rabbit holes, those monkey holes, all those holes, and getting it out there. I really enjoyed our afternoon together. And for anybody that would like to know more about Debbie, check out her website, Dobbins.com. It is on the screen. And if you're listening to the audio, it will be in the show notes. So you can check that out as well. And we will be back tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the second guest of today, which is Glenda Benneville. She's coming in. She's a Grammy nominee, and she's going to be talking about her new song and planting trees when you do get that song. So there's lots of good stuff coming to the table. So I'll see everybody tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, check out Miss Liz's Tea Times. There is multiple shows that you can check out, and give me back your feedback because I always love feedback. And we'll see you guys. We'll do this all over again tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So